The Galactic Council had deemed humans too volatile for deep space exploration. Too emotional, they said. Too unpredictable. But the mining colonies on Kepler 442b needed someone willing to work in hostile territory, and desperate times called for desperate measures. Elsa Chen had signed up for the colony without hesitation. A xenobiologist by training and a wanderer by nature, she saw Kepler 442b not as a prison sentence but as an opportunity. The planet's crystalline forests and bioluminescent fauna were worth documenting, even if the pay was mediocre, and the company uninterested in anything beyond mineral extraction. Leon Torres, the colony's chief engineer, thought she was insane. "You're going into the outer reaches alone?" Leon asked, his dark eyes narrowing as he watched Elsa pack her field kit in the hangar bay. The motion sensors picked up movement out there last night. Something big. Elsa adjusted her respirator and grinned. "That's exactly why I'm going." "Something big and undocumented? That's the dream, Leon." "That's a death wish," he muttered, but he helped her load the hovercart anyway. Leon had learned months ago that arguing with Elsa was like arguing with a solar flare, pointless and exhausting. What neither of them knew was that the something big wasn't just one creature. It was a family. The Vryn were pack hunters, apex predators with crystalline carapaces that refracted light into dazzling patterns. But they were also intelligent, far more than the Council's brief surveys had indicated. The pack Elsa encountered that day consisted of an alpha female and her 3 cubs, each no larger than a terrestrial wolf pup, but already deadly with their razor-sharp mandibles. Elsa had been documenting a grove of singing crystals when she heard the low, thrumming growl behind her. She turned slowly, hands raised, her translator device chirping softly as it attempted to parse the sound. The Alpha Vryn stood between Elsa and her cubs, her body tense, her multifaceted eyes fixed on the human. Elsa's heart hammered, but she forced herself to remain still. She'd studied enough predator behavior to know that running would trigger a chase response. "Easy," Elsa whispered, though she knew the creature couldn't understand standard. "I'm not here to hurt you." For a moment they simply stared at each other, human and alien, both mothers in their own way, both protective of what they loved. Then the Alpha's posture shifted, her aggression fading into something closer to curiosity. That's when the mining drone descended from the canopy. The automated harvester didn't discriminate. Its programming recognized only one thing: valuable crystal formations. And the grove where the Vryn nested was filled with them. The machine's energy cutters activated with a high-pitched whine. The Alpha Vryn shrieked and lunged at the drone, but its shields repelled her easily. The cubs scattered, terrified, their crystalline bodies flashing in panic. Elsa didn't think. She just moved. She threw herself between the drone and the nearest cub, her hand slamming down on her emergency override beacon. The device sent a kill signal to the harvester, but not before its arm swept down in a brutal arc. The impact caught Elsa across the ribs and threw her against a crystal trunk. Pain exploded through her body. Something was definitely broken. The drone powered down with a pathetic whir. The Alpha Vryn approached slowly, her cubs gathering behind her. Elsa tried to move, but her vision was blurring. She'd cracked her respirator in the fall. The atmosphere wasn't toxic, but it wasn't exactly breathable either. The last thing she saw before unconsciousness took her was the Alpha Vryn, gently nudging her cubs toward Elsa's fallen body. Leon found her 6 hours later, guided by the emergency beacon's coordinates. What he discovered made him question everything he thought he knew about alien life. Elsa lay unconscious outside her emergency shelter pod. She must have activated it with her last conscious effort. But she wasn't alone. The 3 Vryn cubs sat in a semicircle around the pod's entrance, their bodies pressed close together, their eyes glowing softly in the darkness. They didn't attack when Leon approached. They simply watched, unmoving, as he carefully loaded Elsa onto the medical stretcher. The Alpha Vryn emerged from the shadows as Leon was preparing to leave. She moved close enough that he could see his reflection in her crystalline carapace, close enough to kill him with a single strike. Instead, she dipped her head toward Elsa's unconscious form, a gesture that Leon somehow understood. Gratitude, protection, recognition. "She saved your babies," Leon whispered. "And you watched over her." The Alpha Vryn thrummed softly, then retreated into the forest with her cubs following close behind. 3 weeks later, Elsa woke in the colony's medical bay with 2 broken ribs, a concussion, and a reprimand from colony administration for interfering with authorized resource extraction operations. Leon showed her the security footage from his helmet cam. They stayed all night, he said quietly. Every time I checked the external feeds, they were there. The cubs wouldn't leave your door. Even when the Alpha tried to call them away, they refused. Elsa watched the footage in silence, tears streaming down her face. The Council says humans are too emotional for space, Leon continued. But maybe that's exactly why we belong here. You saw a mother protecting her children, and you didn't see an alien. You saw someone worth saving. Elsa nodded, unable to speak. The Galactic Council would never understand. They cataloged species by threat level and resource value. But humans? Humans saw the universe differently. They saw neighbors, families, and lives worth protecting, even at great cost to themselves, especially at great cost to themselves. That was humanity's gift to the stars. And in the crystalline forests of Kepler 442b, 3 young Vryn would grow up remembering the strange, fragile creature who had stood between them and death without hesitation. Some bonds transcended species. Some acts of courage needed no translation. End.